Fallout fans? This is Chris Bolts, and I'm coming in with an episode recap and review of this week's episode of Fallout Season 2 on Amazon Prime Video, Episode 6, The Other Player. Now, before I do get into the content, do make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. All that stuff really does help me out. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush with you guys whatsoever on this particular episode. Frankly, it was boring. And it really just seals up what I was saying in a recent video with I was reacting to Mr. H's video on how the viewership for Fallout Season 2 has just basically cratered compared to what it was with Fallout Season 1. Mostly probably because it switched up the scheduling from an all binge, because Fallout Season 1, all the episodes dropped at one time, to Fallout Season 2, where they're releasing the episodes weekly. Hoping that, you might create some buzz and water cooler talk, things of that nature. But the only type of talk that's being developed around this is just how a lot of the episodes are just pointless. Nothing happens, and it's just boredom. Like with this particular episode, we start off with Barb, and frankly, her scene right here is wholly unnecessary, if you will. All of this shows is a bored middle management executive, Vault Tech. The only important part comes up here is when she actually meets up with Robert House, or the fake Robert House, as we all know now. This is his security guard. He's basically telling her, hey, we need a big funding for something that's going to be happening in Las Vegas. You see Hank McClane, the younger Hank McClane, coming in to report and take notes on behalf of this meeting right here. And Robert House is just very direct and forward. Hey, you don't need to know what we're doing. You're probably not going to find out what we're doing until after the bombs drop. All you need to do is just fund our project that's going to be going on in Las Vegas, and that's it. And it cuts to a little the transmitter right here, and we're going to get to that here in a bit here, because it's going to figure prominently in this particular episode. And you see the transmitter here from Robco Industries. It just needs to be funded, and that's pretty much what she does. She has some conflicts and all that. Nothing else happens here. Then we go ahead and get past over here to the ghoul. It's just so fascinating how all these people are just walking around. They see this ghoul impaled on this pole right here. They just ignore him, and they don't do anything, which I find kind of weird and odd. He asks Dog Meat to try to retrieve his satchel so he can get his medicine, but of course the dog gets a hat instead, leaves him there impaled on that pole. And again, nothing else happens right here. We go to a flashback to where Cooper and Barb finally have that confrontational discussion, where he tells her that he knows about the fact that they're gonna be dropping the bombs, and calls her a monster. And she's like, "Excuse me," like that, like a black woman, like a black woman. And she has every right to say excuse me like that, because she really doesn't know where he's coming from. But that's when she lets him know that, hey, I heard you say it. War never changes. And Barb has that surprised look on her face, as you see right here. And that would be it right there. Now we go back to the present. We see Lucy. She's in a bedroom and underneath Vault Tech and whatnot, because she's been held captive by her father, Hank, or so she thinks. You see all these people walking around, and then this right here, you see two Caesar's Legion. She's getting ready to attack them, but they're responding so nicely, so cordially. But you turn, when they walk past, you see that they have those transmitters stuck to the back of their head. Now, this is where I have a problem with this show and its concept of time. Lucy was captured only probably an hour ago. In last week's episode, she was only captured, and now all of a sudden we see all of these. Let's just forget about Lucy for a moment. Hank McClane got the snake oil salesman and attached the transmitter to him, and finally was able to perfect the transmitter. Now let's forget the fact that maybe there might be different settings for all these humans and whatnot as you are attaching them to make sure that the right frequency is being carried out, because hey, we're all human, we're all different. How is it possible that the snake oil, going from the snake oil salesman to right now, Hank McClane was able to get so many people into this underground bunker and attach these transmitters to them. And you'll see right here, we go to a further, Lucy sees all these employees that are just working in unison, in tandem. They all have the transmitter attached to the backs of their neck. How was it possible that Hank McClane was able to go ahead and do that? And in fact, if we go further, as we go further to the episode right here, I'm just going to fast forward really quickly right here. Lucy asks Hank, how is it possible? By the way, we'll just cut to the chase right here. Lucy and Hank, Lucy confronts Hank. Hank tries to have a discussion with her. Says the last time we were talking about the book All Quiet on the Western Front, which, by the way, I decided I'm going to go ahead and pick that up and read it myself. And they're having a discussion on that. Lucy comes out, says, I didn't finish reading the book, but they're still having a discussion about the book and everything. She instead goes about and arrests Hank McClane to carry out her code of justice, as her father so mockingly puts to her. Anyways, in this particular scene, Lucy asks Hank, how did you get all these people down here? And he said, oh, it took a bit of work. No, that is a bunch of bullshit, if you don't mind me saying so. You got all these people in this underground bunker. They're all working together, all in tandem, and the span of what has to be only a couple hours. This is nonsensical. The only way you could possibly explain it, which I'm pretty sure it's not happening because they're gonna all catch up to each other soon, and probably in a future episode. All of this is the only way that it can work is if this entire scene right here is taking place sometime in the future, but the events for the ghoul and the Brotherhood is still in. Man, I tell you, the Brotherhood is still had to come back in this episode. Oh my goodness. Is that this event takes place in the future, and the events for the ghoul and the Brotherhood is still take place sometime in the past. That's the only way that this could logically work. Otherwise, there's no way to explain how Hank was able to get so many people down here to go ahead and start manufacturing all these transmitters, let alone getting enough people down there to start manufacturing a handful of transmitters to put on these other people. It's absurd. It makes no sense. The sense of time in this episode is absolutely stupid. The sense of time in the series thus far is absolutely stupid. So that's that scene right there. And then we come back, and like I said, the Brotherhood is back. It's stupid. Thaddeus wants to keep wearing the armor. Maximus says, hey, no, we can't keep wearing the armor because they'll be able to track it. Now notice where these guys are at. Notice where they're at. They are in what I'm assuming to be the Mojave Desert, which is nothing but sand dunes. So they're leaving their footprints in the sand next to a power armor that can be tracked. Thaddeus is obsessed with wanting to sell this cold fusion. Maximus says he wants to give it to this girl named Lucy, and I'm like, why would you want to give it to Lucy? What will Lucy exactly do with it? Who would have any use for this cold fusion outside of the Brotherhood of the Steel or the Enclave, which we'll get back to them in a moment. So they're sitting in front of this armor, they're in the Mojave Desert, having a discussion with one another, but then when they walk away, you see their footprints. So the armor is going to be tracked, it can be tracked. They're leaving footprints that are tracking away from the power armor, which is absurdly dumb. Did no one think about this when they were shooting all of this? Did no one think about this when they were producing this episode? And then we have this sense of time. They are currently in the Mojave Desert, probably at high noon, which means that they're going to be walking for some time. It's going to be hot. They're going to be thirsty. There's not much places where they can get shelter. Nope. In the very next scene, at nighttime, they are being filmed around a campfire around some buildings. Like, how is this possible? In fact, what materials do they have that allowed them to create a campfire? You see the buildings back here. They're sitting around it like, hey, we just got out of the Mojave Desert. Now we're in a semi-civilized area. How does that work? How exactly does that work? This is once again bad pacing and absurd use of time by the this Fallout series. We go again. Nighttime. The ghoul is still attached to this, or still rather, he's still impaled. Impaled on this beam. He's slowly turning into a ghoul because he hasn't, or rather, he's losing his consciousness because he's already a ghoul. He's losing his consciousness and becoming a feral ghoul, and so he's reciting to himself his name and what his goal is in the wasteland, namely trying to find his daughter Janie. Not so much his wife Barb anymore, but his trying to find his daughter Janie. He struggles to climb up this pole, but he's not very successful or anything until a benefactor comes along and chops away some of the pole that allows him to go ahead and free himself. As you can see right here, he drops back down, and that the person that came and helped him is now dragging him away. Come to find out, just to give you the spoiler warning or spoiler here, this is a mutant. And the mutant is wanting to form an alliance with other mutated humans, like the ghoul here. Now we come over again to what I say is the second most boring part of the entire series, which is what's happening in the vaults between vaults 31, 32, and 33. The rebellious leader of the inbreeding group having a little shindig for all of his members, very protective of the snack budget that he was given by Betty, the overseer, the vault overseer, who happens to be from vault 31. And there's a big imbroglio that's going to be going on right here because Betty makes a pretty good point. They're running out of water. They're eating all this food that is full of salt, which, by the way, you know, salt dries you out, dehydrates you quicker than if you don't consume it. And she wants to preserve the water. Well, rebellious guy says, nah, we don't care about that. You gave me the snack budget, and we're going to go ahead and keep eating snacks and everything. And come to find out, these are all obviously they're all descendants from middle management and people who were brought into the vault way before the bombs dropped. This group feels like, hey, we are superior, and that the people from vault 31 are looking down on us, and we deserve to have all the rights and whatnot because this is America and all that. Betty easily relents. We come up with a vault 32 now. Vault 32, Chet is having a discussion. They're all looking for Woody. Don't know exactly what happened to Woody, but we could probably guess what probably happened to him. Chet, he says that Chet's wife is Steph. Chet quickly corrects him, says Steph is not my wife. Finds out that there's a poster that has them on there right here. Steph and Chet are getting married tomorrow. So here we go. We have a girl boss moment. I was responding to somebody on X, and he was asking whether or not Fallout is woke, and I responded to him, no, it's not really woke because the agenda does not get in front of the story or anything like that, or the characters. Most of the characters in here are not woke, quote unquote woke, but there are lots of cringe moments. Like right here, this is a cringe moment where Chet is being cucked by his own quote unquote wife, fiance, or being bossed around. So this is a kind of like a cringe moment and everything. This guy really does not know what's going on, and he's supposed to be the head of the family, but he's not acting like the head of the family. Steph is the overseer, and she's got her own issues about what's going on. Now we come over here back to the ghoul being here with the mutant. The mutant brings out a piece of radiation or iridium or whatever you want to call that, sticks it in his chest, says this works on us, but it is definitely poisonous to regular humans, and he puts that crystal inside of him to help him heal. The mutant wants the ghoul to help fight against the Enclave, and he only mentions the Enclave. The Enclave, I'm assuming, is the other player in all of what's going on right here, because in the games, the Enclave is responsible for the creation of the synths, They are responsible for the creation of the forced evolutionary virus, or the experimentation with it. They might have been responsible for dropping the bombs. That has never been confirmed or denied in the Fallout lore itself, but maybe they might do that here and might piss off some more fans who are fans of the Fallout lore. Will they go in here and say that it was the Enclave that dropped the bombs? Because we're gonna get a flashback right here where we're back to Barb. Cooper and Barb are having their big argument over what's going on. Barb tries to guilt trip Cooper into saying, I'm doing this for Janie. Wouldn't you do this for your daughter too? But Cooper shoots back. You're going to sacrifice millions of lives, people who are mothers, who are daughters, and everyone else in order just to save our one daughter. And she tried to shoot back. No, yeah. If you were in my spot, wouldn't you do it? Wouldn't you do it for our daughter? And of course, Cooper doesn't respond or anything. He just looks at her with a confused look, that wondering, well, who is this woman that he is talking to? He thought this was his wife, but she's not acting like it. We go back to Vault-Tec. Barb is saying, hey, secretary, get me all the stuff that I need, because we're gonna have to look and investigate this a little more. And then she wonders, is this a good idea? Barb says none of this is a good idea, of course. And we go back. We don't see this guy, not since I think probably the second, maybe third episode of the first season, where he had to decapitate himself and gave his head to Lucy because his head had all kinds of information or association with the cold fusion technology and whatnot. He's basically telling Barb that, hey, we're all cogs in this game, and we all are can be easily sacrificed, not just ourselves but our family. So you need to continue to play your role and do what you're supposed to be doing, and that there's going to be a whole bunch of executives that's going to be coming, and you need to recite this line that is going to be verbatim. And we know what line that was when Barb had echoed those lines in the last season. Let's go ahead and hear her say it right now. By dropping the bomb ourselves. And we know that Robert House in the last episode said, you can't really pay attention to that. All these executives don't really know what's going on. Somebody else is calling all the shots. Barb says the exact line to try to keep her family safe and herself safe. So that covers that part right there. And then Cooper has the bright idea that he's gonna go ahead and capture Hank. Yeah, we don't have to go back over this part right here. Well, let's go back just a little bit. Of course, Hank, being the type of asshole daddy that he is, he forces Lucy to make a choice. I'm pretty sure he set all this up. He brought these two warring Caesar legions. If we go back to episode 3, I believe, they had the different factions of the Caesar legion that were fighting against one another, determine who would become the new Kaiser. And so they got opposing sides right there. And let me turn that down. You got opposing sides. She's trying to save one of them. The other guy is trying to attack her. But this is all a setup by Hank to get her to push this big giant button in the back that will actually go in there and stop them from fighting. And she actually goes in there and pushes it. It stops him. It calms them both down. And Hank looks at her and says, "Kumbaya. We're all in this together." And Lucy knows she's been played by her daddy, which that wasn't the entire point, to show her, hey, this is what you got to do if you're going to be in the wasteland. This is what someone's going to have to take over, and it might as well be us. Now we go back to the past, where Cooper gets Hank, drugs him up, opens up this attaché. I'm like, how did you get the code for this? How do you know to open this? Like, again, it's another plot inconsistency. Plot convenience demands that Cooper Howard somehow can open this without knowing the lock code. He just opens it up. He sees this device off in there. He doesn't know what the device is. He tries to wake up Hank, who's drugged out of his mind. But Barb notices that he's off in there. Barb knows what to do with the with that little thing, that syringe, and she sticks it inside of his neck and pulls out the cold fusion that was stuck within Hank. Surprisingly, there's no blood off in there. It's all just pure blue. So is Hank's blood blue? Man, I tell you, this is just bad. This is really just bad. And here I was hoping that we wouldn't get any more of the Caesar's Legion, or rather Brotherhood of Steel. Maximus and Thaddeus, they are following Dogmeat. Dogmeat has his hat, the ghoul's hat. They go over, they chase after him. But again, here we go. Once again, I'm assuming that place was far away from where they're at now, because it was nighttime when they left. And when you look at this scene right here, it somehow is almost mid-afternoon. So I'm assuming they started walking again and just was following this dog. They come over to this rundown area, and that's where they meet up with the ghoul. Dogmeat brought both of them together, and so this means now the ghoul, Maximus, and Thaddeus are all going to go. I'm assuming they're going to go rescue Lucy from her daddy. Which, again, the worst storyline of this entire show is anything associated with the Brotherhood of Steel. I'm assuming that the people that I'm just making a speculation about what's going to happen in the next episode. The Brotherhood of Steel, I'm pretty sure it's going to be that lady who wins, the lady Brotherhood of Steel Emperor, whatever you want to call her. She's gonna win. They're gonna discover the power armor. They're gonna see the footsteps going away from the power armor. They're gonna be able to track the steps of Thaddeus and Maximus to the T. They're all gonna meet up, and they're all gonna try to kill all three of them plus Lucy and try to steal the Cold Fusion. I hope I'm wrong, but it seems like it's pretty predictable at this point and everything. It's just, this one was it was a bad episode. It's put together nicely, at least with cinematography and whatnot, and some people might even disagree with me on that particular issue. But as far as the plot, as far as the interweaving storylines, as far as the plot inconsistencies, as far as the bad use of time, the mystery box nature of this entire episode, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10. I thought episode 5 was great. I was worried that episode 6 might not live up to the expectations of episode 5. And lo and behold, just like One Punch Man season 3, where I thought episode 5 was great, episode 6 was a complete and utter garbage with that one. This one, not as bad as One Punch Man season 3 episode 6, but it's bad enough. So what are your guys' thoughts on this particular episode? Are you guys interested in this particular series? Have you guys just checked out and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to stick with the Fallout games, not worry about any of this. Whatever your thoughts, jump down in the comments and let me know what you think. And make sure you like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. All that stuff helps me out. And remember, this is Chris Boat signing off, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take it easy.